Hello, and welcome to this live stream from the European Space Agency. My name is Josh, and I will be your host this evening. We're at ESA's European Space Operations Center in Darmstadt, Germany, and we're excited to share the next roughly 30 minutes with you as our Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer spacecraft, or JUICE for short, flies past Earth's moon. JUICE launched just over a year ago, on the 14th of April 2023, on an 8-year journey to Jupiter. It's returned to Earth this week to carry out the first of the gravity assist maneuvers that will give it the boosts it needs to make the journey. But this isn't just any ordinary gravity assist. This is a special one. JUICE isn't just getting a boost from a planet, it's getting a double boost from a moon and then a planet, our moon and our planet Earth. Right now, as we speak, JUICE has just passed its closest point to the moon, and we have begun to downlink images that it took as it passed from our deep space antenna in Cebreros, Spain, not so far from Madrid. You can see that image on the right of your screen. That's a webcam image of our antenna in Spain. That's where the images will be coming down from JUICE right now. And that's where we will start sharing the images as soon as we receive them here. And on the left of your screen, you'll see an animation that depicts where the JUICE spacecraft is at this moment. So that is live, not a live feed, an animation, but that is showing where JUICE is right now. We're also very fortunate this evening to be joined by members of the JUICE team. If there's anything you've ever wanted to know about JUICE, about Jupiter, its mysterious moons, or how we fly spacecraft across the solar system to destinations hundreds of millions of kilometers away, now is your chance to ask. We'll be monitoring the YouTube chat and our ESA JUICE at ESA JUICE X channel for your questions throughout the evening. Use the hashtag AskESA to help us find your questions. So let's meet some of the members of the team behind Europe's first mission to the Jupiter system. I'm joined this evening by Ignacio, the JUICE Spacecraft Operations Manager. Hi, Ignacio.
Hi, good evening, Josh.
Good evening. You work here at ESOC.
Indeed.
And yes. you fly JUICE. You and your team fly JUICE.
I'm the leader of the flight control team. Yeah. That's right. So I organize and coordinate the team that takes care of uplinking all the activities to the spacecraft, monitoring the telemetry, following up on the execution of all activities on board. That's right.
Cool. Thank you. We also have Nico, the JUICE mission manager, with us this evening.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm Nico Altobelli. I'm working as a mission manager of JUICE. So this is a role when I try to take care of the entire mission and making sure that everyone can do his best job in the best conditions.
And finally, last but not least, we have Mark, who is one of the JUICE science operations engineers.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever you're watching this from. Yeah, thanks for the introduction. So in our team, what we do is that we basically facilitate we conduct science operations and we facilitate the instruments to reach their science objectives. And during the cruise phase, we're developing the systems that will end up implementing that during the nominal phase.
Cool, thank you very much. And thank you all for joining us this evening. We hope to be able to get your commentary on the images as they come in from the spacecraft live. Everything you're about to see on the live stream is a bit of a bonus and a bit of an experiment. JUICE is carrying one of the most advanced suites of scientific instruments ever flown on a spacecraft. But what we will actually be seeing images from this evening are two of JUICE's monitoring cameras. Now, these cameras were originally designed and developed to monitor the deployment of JUICE's scientific instruments shortly after launch. A spacecraft has to be packed quite tightly to fit inside its launcher, and then in orbit it begins to unfold its solar panels and deploy some of its booms and antennas. And JUICE had two cameras on board to make sure, to confirm that everything had deployed correctly, and to help troubleshoot any issues that took place during that deployment. They've completed their primary job, that was their job, mission complete, but they're still functioning cameras. They're not designed to take images of planets or moons, but we decided to switch them on and see what we could see as we flew past the moon this evening. We hope to share some very nice images with you, but it's very possible that all the images we received this evening are a bit over or underexposed. That's the nature of science. Let's see what happens together. You will be the first people ever to see these images if you're here with us this evening. And then after the live stream, we will do some processing, and we hope tomorrow morning we'll be able to share some images where you can see a bit more. It looks like our first image has come in. Like I say, you're the first people in the world to see this image. We entirely expect the images to start this way. This is according to plan. I will pass over to Ignacio, maybe, to describe a little bit about this first image, and maybe a little bit about what we expect to see over the next 45 minutes, how we expect the images to change.
Thanks, Josh. So that image, whoops, okay, this image is actually the field of view of the navigation camera. It displays the star field as seen by the navigation camera. This was actually an acquisition that we did right before we entered into eclipse. So this was before the moon passed through the field of view of the navigation camera. So this was taken prior to the sequence that would show the moon, and we expect the next few images after this one would be on the night side of the moon. So very probably will be also very dark. But we expect to receive the images at a rate of about, I would say 1 per minute. So it will take some time until we receive the ones that show the crossing of the terminator and then the illuminated part. But for now, yeah, this is just the start.
That's fine. Mark, would you like to say something about this? Please do.
Yeah, so as Ignacio mentioned, this is an AFCAM image. The field of view is very narrow. The images that will give us a better context of the actual geometry of the flyby are the ones taken by the monitoring cameras that you mentioned before. These cameras have a much wider field of view of 45 degrees. In fact, the NAVCAM has a field of view of
45 degrees. The NAVCAM is 5 degrees.
Yeah. So if you want to look at it in a metaphorical way, with the NAVCAM we see a tree. With the GMC cameras we see the entire forest, and it enables us to understand the context much better. So we're hoping to see those images coming in.
Thank you very much. That's a really nice analogy. And presumably that's for scientific purposes. Sometimes you want to see the tree, sometimes you want to see the forest. Cool. But there's still plenty happening here while we wait for the next images to come in. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening here. As I mentioned earlier, we're at ESA's European Space Operations Center in Darmstadt, Germany. It's from here that our teams fly JUICE and about 24 or so other spacecraft around Earth and across the solar system. We're in a building just opposite the building where JUICE's flight control team is currently monitoring the spacecraft. Ignacio, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about what the JUICE flight control team will be doing this evening, and then maybe also tomorrow evening as JUICE flies past Earth.
Okay, so the flight control team first task is to ensure that the spacecraft is safe and that it's able to perform all required activities. So during this phase, which is considered highly critical, the main purpose of the flight control team is to be ready to deal with any contingency and to react immediately. So we have been training for this event for months now, and we have developed special procedures, so ways of tackling pretty much anything that the spacecraft can throw at us, and including very fast ways to recover the spacecraft, which are not the usual ways in which we would deal with a contingency, but rather accelerated timelines for contingency recovery that would allow us to bring the spacecraft back to a condition in which it would be ready, for example, to perform an emergency trajectory correction if it was necessary. So the teams are permanently on standby. Rather than on standby, they are on station monitoring the spacecraft health continuously and ready to jump in and react as soon as they see anything that could compromise the safety of the operations.
Okay, thank you very much. We mentioned also that this is the first lunar Earth gravity assist of its kind. JUICE has left Earth orbit. It's on a heliocentric orbit around the Sun. It launched just over a year ago. Now it's returning to us. It's flying past the Moon and then past Earth for a double gravity assist. This is not just the first that we've tried, but this is the first of this kind of lunar Earth gravity assist ever designed and carried out. Why is that? What makes this complex? Why is it only now that it's become possible? Or why have we not tried this in the past?
Gravity assist maneuvers, by their own very nature, they're risky business. So they function as an error amplifier. So you need to have excellent targeting and really good navigation in order for the spacecraft to go in the direction you want. And any deviation, like really at kilometer level, you will need to correct afterwards by means of chemical burn. And this takes quite a bit of mass. So in the past, we considered that a double flyby would have been excessively risky. For JUICE, however, for the first time, we had reached a level of maturity in terms of the processes on ground and the systems on board the spacecraft that we fly, that we felt confident enough that we could tackle something like this. So when at mission design level, we realized that taking this double flyby at the first Earth encounter would result in a significant reduction in the duration of the cruise to Jupiter, then we decided to do it. So eventually, so what we did is first we did a risk assessment together with our colleagues of Flight Dynamics, and we concluded that we could do this, so we could accept the risk and manage it in a way that would make it doable. And yeah, what we're seeing now is basically the demonstration of this decision, that this is a way of cutting back in terms of the fuel cost of the mission and the duration of the cruise phase.
Thank you. Mark, would you like to comment?
Yes, so we have the first JMC2 image on the screen. And so we still do not see the Moon, which is expected for the acquisition time of this image. And what you can see here covering almost half of the image is the actual spacecraft. So in here we can see components of the PEP instrument, for example. It's the, oh, there you go, that scaling is better. And this is something which is, because these are monitoring cameras, so their focus was to actually monitor the spacecraft. So half of what we will see in these images of JMC2 is actually the spacecraft.
Cool, thank you very much. We have a question from the audience about JUICE's next flyby after this. I suppose that's a nice transition. This double flyby, the Lunar Earth Gravity Assist, the Lunar Earth flyby, is predominantly to align JUICE for its next flyby. So I wonder if one of the expert panel could comment on the future, where JUICE will go next after this week.
So the next flyby is in about a year, so August 26. Again, summer holidays will go out the window, but we will take the opportunity to fly by Venus. So it will be, actually this flyby is a braking maneuver. So we do not accelerate JUICE in the sense of gaining speed relative to the Sun, which would have led us to fly by, again, the Earth or else Mars at the coming opportunity. Instead, we decided to do braking, which would take us inwards towards the Sun and onto Venus next year. What we found is that by following this sequence of first Earth and then Venus, we managed to save about half a year of cruise time and arrive to Jupiter around July 2031. So this sort of counterintuitive approach of braking first, in fact, results ultimately in the shortest possible cruise phase.
Sometimes you have to slow down to speed up, or go backwards to go forwards. Yeah. It's like taking a shortcut.
Sort of stepping back,
yeah.
jump forward.
Yeah, cool. Very nice. Did you want to add something, Nico? Or no? Next question. No.
So we got an update. So this is the first JMC1 image. As expected, it's also dark. And actually, I am not. No. We can actually see the moon already. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, that's the first time that we can see the moon with JUICE. So indeed, you can see that there's again a little bit of spacecraft masking. So this kind of rectangular shape that is on top of the moon, it's the MAGIS radiator. So it's the radiator of one of the instruments. And there's like also like a stick over there, and I believe that's a Langmuir probe. So we can already see the moon, and we can already see some craters in that image.
That's fantastic. We've seen the moon. We've seen the moon this evening. JUICE has seen the moon. No, that's fantastic, and we only hope that they will get even better as the night goes on. Perhaps that makes a great opportunity to talk about some of the science in the JUICE mission, behind the JUICE mission. Maybe we will first talk about JUICE's primary objectives at Jupiter, and then we will come back and we will talk about how this week's flybys of the Moon and Earth are preparing us for JUICE's science when it arrives at Jupiter. So maybe Nico, if you could run us through the primary science objectives of JUICE at Jupiter and its mysterious icy moons.
Absolutely. We are going back to Jupiter. There were missions in the past going to Jupiter, but JUICE is actually the first that will not only go to Jupiter, it will orbit Jupiter for a few years, then and that's the first time we have a man-made object that will be orbiting a moon which is not our own moon, the one seeing tonight. And the main objective of JUICE in terms of science is, I would say, first to study the icy moon in the context of the Jupiter environment. Because what we want to understand is how those objects that are made of a mix evolve in a way so different from one another, although they were born in the same conditions. And spacecraft there, we will be able to study at length with different instruments. We have 10 instruments on board to study the different how the moon are composed, what is their interior, real tomography of the interior, and always in relationship with the rest of the environment. So, I think nice images coming again.
This one shows, right? I think this one shows just the penumbra right before the Terminator crossing. We'll have to wait for the next JMC image, but what I get from the is they receive now other files. It will take a few minutes until we receive the next monitoring camera images.
Okay, thank you. We actually have an audience question related to what Nico was just talking about. Somebody on YouTube asks about Jupiter's icy moons. If Europa is an icy moon, why does it have this distinctive yellow color? What's that material?
Well, the answer is that we don't really know for sure, but that's the interesting thing. It seems like those moons, they have an exchange of material between the interior and the exterior, and of course on the exterior, the moon surface gets exposed to a very harsh environment at Jupiter, and it's hard actually to decipher what the story is behind those. This look young. There is cratering, so there's been interior. It's definitely one of the.
There you go. That YouTube question. That's the exact same kind of question that we aim to explore. You're asking the right questions. So we've talked about JUICE's primary scientific objectives. How does this flyby of the moon prepare us or help us get ready for this kind of exploration?
Yeah. When you're building a physics experiment, very important is to get it properly in your lab, you what you want to. You don't know. Yeah. And that's what we call. We have a lot. Age. The opportunities from really future is actually instruments, particular there, the one expect from what that's what we want. Right?
And then tomorrow night's flyby of Earth, that's the Earth's moon is much more of a similar object to Jupiter's moons. So tomorrow's Earth flyby is a bit less useful, or
the moon. This use to the import by.
Okay, super. So we squeeze the science out of every flyby that we're doing. That's really good to hear. I'll take some more audience questions now. We have some questions about the delta V saved by the lunar-Earth gravity assist, and then specifically how much better does that get when we add the moon? How much of a boost does the moon give to the Earth flyby in terms of delta V?
So the moon adds about 10% extra to the delta V that we get out of the Earth. So the delta V that we get out of the combined moon and Earth gravity assist is very large. In fact, it's comparable to the entire capacity of the spacecraft. If it were to burn all the fuel that we have in the tanks, we would get an equivalent delta V approximately about the same as the one that we're getting of this single gravity assist. Now, consider that in terms of the mission, so we will be flying 2 more Earth gravity assists and another one at Venus. So in total, we will have 4. So it would be absolutely impossible for us to perform this mission without the use of this gravity assist technique. And having the moon, it's a welcome addition in that we managed to squeeze even more velocity change out of the maneuver.
Thanks, Ignacio. Actually, the next question is also for you. The next question is about the flight control team. They ask, is there somebody on call 24/7 from the flight control team for a mission like JUICE? Do you have somebody sitting at a console every hour of every day?
Answer is yes. So whenever we are in contact with the JUICE, there is an operator on console ready to respond and act if we encounter any sort of difficulty or anomalous condition. Now, these are active 24/7, as you mentioned. It doesn't mean that permanently someone is sitting in front of the computer, because during the cruise phase, we contact JUICE about once per week. So it's a sort of very quiet mission for most of the time. We have then peaks of activity, like now. During this period, we have continuous coverage. So we use our network of 35-meter antennas, which are throughout the world, and this allows us to have continuous coverage of the mission. So we will never lose track of JUICE for the coming days. And during this period, there will always be an operator that is ready to take action immediately, or else to escalate to other teams that can support him in the recovery.
Thank you. Our next question is whether we will live stream the Earth flyby tomorrow evening as well. Now, that's a bit more complicated. Flying past the Earth has a layer of complication that isn't flying, that flying past the moon does not have. So I'd like to ask one of you to describe why we're not able to live stream the Earth flyby tomorrow.
So I'll take that one. It's an easy one. So let me go back then when I said that we are in continuous coverage with our 35-meter station network. There is one exception, which is if you fly very close to the Earth over a period of time and it happens to coincide with an area that our station network doesn't give coverage, then you cannot have continuous coverage. And this will, in fact, happen tomorrow as we do the Earth closest approach. It happens to fly over the northern Pacific Ocean. And unfortunately, our stations on the Pacific or around the Pacific on both sides are on the southern hemisphere. So we have a geometrical coverage gap that just by chance happens to coincide with the closest approach. So during this period, starting tomorrow evening and lasting until Wednesday morning, we will not be able to contact the spacecraft. So we will not receive any telemetry or be able to send any commands.
Yeah, and I would like to highlight that the LEGA doesn't finish right after the closest approach to the Earth. So it actually lasts for 3 additional days. And during those days, stay tuned because we're going to have more images coming down also from the monitoring cameras. So we also have contextual images of the flyby by the monitoring cameras for the Earth. The same for the NAVCAM. And in fact, later on, before the end of this period, there's going to be I would call it a special maneuver, full spacecraft flip, which is a maneuver that is used to calibrate one of the instruments, the radio plasma waves instrument. And not only that, but also later in September, I guess I can say that, in the 9th of September, is going to point to the Earth for an additional calibration of the high-resolution camera Janus, and also to bid farewell to the Earth-Moon system until 2 years from now. And all these images, or the images that we're showing today, the GMC 1 and 2 images, will be publicly available from the Planetary Science Archive, which is hosted at ISAC, the ISA site in Spain. And so, yeah, this doesn't finish the day after tomorrow.
I was going to mention maybe we could share the link in the YouTube.
Yes, we will try to do that. We will try to do that. The next question, and this is something we actually did briefly talk about before we started the live stream, will these monitoring cameras also be used at Jupiter? Will the same camera that's taking pictures of our moon today take pictures of the Jovian moons?
Yes, that's a very good question. In fact, it depends a bit of what we see tonight, but it looks like the GMC camera is delivering well. And as Mark was saying before, we will now start the processing of the images that have been taken. What you see now are really the raw image that we get directly from the spacecraft. And as we speak, there are already people working on improving the quality of the product. What we can say today is that we will be able to apply a calibration which allows us then, indeed, during the nominal science phase of the mission, to select opportunities to take images and possibly to provide context to other measurements, thanks to the wide field of view of the GMC camera.
Cool, thank you. I hope that answers your questions in the chat. Some other questions coming in on a completely different topic, and actually about tomorrow night's Earth flyby. Questions related to space debris. So a couple of people are asking, or actually also at the moon, a couple of people are asking, is there a substantial risk of colliding with satellites orbiting the moon? And then tomorrow evening, when we get close to Earth, how risky is it to perform a gravity assist maneuver?
Probability of having a collision risk with either an active spacecraft or a piece of space debris is, I would say, more than significant. So we have a really top office here in Darmstadt that takes care of doing screening for space debris collision risk, and we had agreed with them already to have them run this check for us as we were approaching the Earth. And right before the start of the live stream, we received confirmation from them that they had done the last screening prior to the Earth flyby using our latest orbit determination, and the results came clean. So we are good to go for the Earth closest approach. We will not have to do a collision avoidance maneuver, which was something that was very present in our minds, and it's a huge relief. But yeah, definitely every time that we fly by the Earth, this is necessary, because otherwise we would be going into the blind, and the risk of collision would mean immediately end of mission. So it's a risk that must be managed.
Cool, thank you very much, Ignacio. So, a significant issue, but JUICE is fine, and all is well for tomorrow. JUICE will pass within approximately 6,840 kilometers, I think, at its closest to Earth tomorrow evening. That's well within the orbit of satellites in geostationary satellites or some medium Earth orbits. So it's definitely coming into the world of space debris, but our space debris office here at ESA has looked ahead at JUICE's trajectory, and there seems to be nothing worrying on that path. If you're just joining us, I'll give you a quick introduction. We're streaming live from ESA's European Space Operations Center in Darmstadt, Germany. It's from here that we fly, the teams here, not me personally, fly the spacecraft such as JUICE and 24 others, approximately, around Earth and across the solar system to destinations such as Mars, Jupiter, Mercury, to orbit the Sun, study the Sun, and many, many others. What you're looking at right now, if you're watching the live stream, we have two images on the screen. On the left-hand side, you can see an animation, not a real image, an animation, and that shows where JUICE is with respect to the moon right now, right this moment. As you can see, it's about 10,000 kilometers from the moon now, and it's moving further and further away from the moon at about 4 kilometers a second, and it's moving towards us, towards Earth. JUICE passed its closest point to the moon, about 50 minutes ago. And since then, it's been heading for us. It's been heading towards Earth, and it will pass its closest point to Earth of its Earth flyby at approximately around midnight tomorrow night, in almost exactly 24 hours. Okay, I'm going to pass over to Mark because we have a new image.
So we have a new image. This is JMC2, and as expected, this is also only we only see the spacecraft body. So the reason why, it's because the images are being downlinked in what is called a round-robin cycle, which means that we jump from one unit to the other. So we get one navcam, one JMC2, one JMC1, then one navcam. So this image is actually from before the previous image that we were seeing from GMC1, and that's why we still do not see the moon in this image. Apparently, we have a refresh. So let's see what we got. It might either be a navcam or a JMC1. So as you can see, this is the next image in sequence from what we had before. So we're seeing more of the moon, and I'm guessing that now images will be coming rapidly.
So what we see here is the last image that we managed to get down on the New Norcia station before handover to Cerberus. So handover to Cerberus will happen in the next 2 minutes. And this means we will have a brief suspension on the file retrieval task to avoid that we dump images into the void during the station handover. But yeah, the image clearly shows the Terminator at the moon and the craters being illuminated by the sunlight.
So don't worry, the Terminator is not a robot to kill all mankind. The Terminator is the division between day and night, and it's more, let's say, so it's more clear in an airless body, in a body that doesn't have an atmosphere like the moon. So it's very clear, the division between night and day, and because there is no glow, there is no reflection, it's actually, you go from dark to illuminated.
Cool, thank you very much. It's nice. That's a very nice image. As a quick reminder, the camera. Did you say this was JMC1? This is JMC1. Yeah. So this image was taken by one of the 2 monitoring cameras on the JUICE spacecraft, and these monitoring cameras are on board the spacecraft primarily to monitor the deployment of JUICE's solar panels and its antennas and scientific instruments after launch. So it starts packed up tight, so it fits inside its rocket. And then after launch, everything begins to unfold. And there are 2 cameras on board JUICE to monitor those deployments, to make sure everything deploys correctly and to help troubleshoot if they don't. These cameras were not scientific instruments built to take images like this, but they still function perfectly well. And so we thought we'd take the opportunity, as JUICE flies past the moon, to switch them on, instruct JUICE to take some images with them, and share them with you live. So it's worth repeating again, you are the first people in the world to see this image. It arrived on our planet, on Earth, minutes ago, and was taken, probably just around an hour ago now or so by the spacecraft itself. So this is a bit of an experiment on our end too, sharing these images with you with no processing. This is a raw image. And it's the first time JUICE has passed a bright object like the moon. So we haven't had a chance to calibrate these cameras on similar objects. And so it's possible that some of our images are over or underexposed. But from the looks of these first ones, they look good. They look good. I can clearly see some nice clear craters there. Which is very interesting, very exciting. Yeah, Ignacio.
So just a commentary. So what we are seeing now is the images taken immediately as JUICE was coming out of the eclipse condition and going into sunlight. This is why the elevation angle of the sun on the craters is so low, as seen from here. This camera, however, over the coming images that we will download will show the full face of the moon as it moves away from the spacecraft, or rather the other way around, as the spacecraft approaches the Earth and moves away from the surface of the moon. So we expect over the coming hours we will be able to receive the rest of the images, process them, and hopefully build them into a very nice sequence that we will share in the coming hours, days.
Yeah, just to complement on what Ignacio was saying, those GMC, we really love them, those 2 cameras on board, because I don't know if you remember, but after launch, we had those difficulties to deploy the radar antenna. And thanks to the great decision of, at the time, the project, ESA and Airbus, to put those cameras on board, we were able to troubleshoot the problems, and finally we saw the deployment. So we are really happy to reuse those cameras as much as we can.
Cool. Thank you very much. Have we got a new image? This is yeah. Excellent. Very nice to see. Okay. We have some more questions coming in from the chat. Somebody asks if it will be possible for them to see JUICE with a telescope as it flies past Earth. I'm not sure who would like to take that question, but I think we already have some telescope observations of JUICE that we've shared on our blog. But for amateur astronomers, I think it would be quite a challenge.
So indeed, not only it will be visible, but it has been visible, and in fact, it triggered the proximity alarms. Let's say of the groups that are focused on detection of asteroids. So a few weeks ago, 2 groups independently discovered a new, previously uncharted object that was approaching either Moon or Earth for a collision. And pretty soon, of course, it was discovered that this object was in fact JUICE. So yeah, it's definitely visible, but it requires some pretty I would say not amateur level telescopes. During Earth closest approach, it should be actually possible to see it with a fairly small telescope. The only problem is that it will be flying over the northern Pacific Ocean. So I think from southern Alaska, the elevation is around 20 degrees at closest approach, which is not ideal. If you're on a boat and you have a really good telescope with some motion canceling equipment, then probably you can get good pictures.
Cool, thank you. So if you happen to have a boat and you're in the North Pacific and you have a great telescope, good luck, good luck. We have another question, a nice question, zooming out to the full scope of the JUICE project. How long has this spacecraft been in development? When did the JUICE project begin? I'm not sure if anyone here would like to take that question.
Yeah, I think we can say that the JUICE spacecraft has been in development for 10 years. So we launched just last year. If we go back in time, so JUICE is actually the first mission, the large class. So this is a category of missions at ESA. It means the biggest class. And it was adopted 2014, if I recall correctly. And then the development started, took about 10 years. And here we are now, 1 year after launch.
Cool, thank you very much. Sorry, Mark, you'd like to add something to that, or was it about the new image?
So it actually, launch was the middle of the project, was the midpoint of the project, and so we'll only get to Jupiter in 2031, and then we'll be actually starting the real thing for a while. And actually, thanks to how smooth this maneuver has been, we will be able to implement an additional phase of the mission that was at some point discarded, which is getting closer to Ganymede, because the last part of the mission is orbiting Ganymede. So we will go from 500 kilometers of altitude to 200 kilometers of altitude.
Yeah, and indeed, going closer to Ganymede will be very good, in particular for the magnetometer, to be able to detect better the signature of the underground ocean. And I think I must say, with this so far going well, moon flyby, we are saving the delta V that we had put in, in our pocket in case we would have to clean the trajectory. So I think we are gaining up to 70 meters per second currently, if the flyby continues to go as well as it is.
Yes, I don't want to sell the bear scheme before we hunt it, because this is a statement that I will be very comfortable making on Wednesday. Until then, I would say we might save all that fuel if we continue having a very clean trajectory, which so far has been the case. But we are not out of the woods yet, so we have still the final emergency trajectory correction maneuver slot prior to Earth closest approach. This will be tomorrow, so the execution is planned for tomorrow. We will have the check, so the final go-no-go confirmation for this slot tomorrow morning at 8. And I will be looking intently at my inbox, awaiting the report from our colleagues from Flight Dynamics.
As will we. As will we. They've done a fantastic job so far. You may be aware, if you follow us on social media channels, that we reported on updates from our Flight Dynamics colleagues. They planned up to 4 opportunities to tweak JUICE's trajectory before arrival at the moon today. They used the first one, then they analyzed JUICE's trajectory and found out that it was really, really good, and they didn't need the second one. Then they did the same again, and they didn't need the third one. And then they did the same again, and they didn't need the fourth one. So they've done an excellent job so far.
Comment, if I may, on this, because this is really, I want to shout out to the flight dynamics team of ESOC. This is unprecedented, so that we did the first correction maneuver 4 weeks before arrival, and it was like in the order of 3 centimeters per second, and we never touched again the trajectory, and we come to the moon closest approach, and we hit it to within 2 kilometers. So it was really fantastic. So this is testament to the accuracy of the systems that these guys have put together, also to the quality of the work that has gone into designing this spacecraft, which is exceedingly quiet. So we have almost no parasitic forces acting on it, and those that we have managed to calibrate with an incredible degree of accuracy. So I'm really happy with the results so far.
Cool, thank you very much. We have a question about this image. Somebody on YouTube asks what the white dot is that we can see below the disk of the moon there. If somebody would like to.
That's the reflection of the sun in one of the antennas. One of the, I think it's the Langmuir probes. It's an antenna that is part of the radio plasma waves instrument.
So this probably indicates that when the image was taken, JUICE was going back into illumination conditions. We will be able to see this more clearly as we receive further images and we see the face of the moon recede into the background. Then probably the additional light being reflected from the moon will illuminate this sort of shape, the dark shape that you see on the upper left corner, which are some elements of onboard equipment for different instruments. And we will gain better view of the Langmuir probe, which corresponds to the radio and plasma wave analyzer.
Cool, thank you very much. It seems like we just have a few minutes left. We have a few minutes left. We will do a lot more image downlinking after the live stream tonight, and then we will do some image processing, and then we will share some more images of the moon taken by JUICE with you as soon as we can tomorrow. Stay tuned to the ESA website and to our social media channels, and you'll be the first to see those as well, like you were the first to see this image of the moon from JUICE today. JUICE will spend the next 24-ish hours flying between the moon towards Earth, and it will pass by Earth within about 6,840 kilometers over the North Pacific tomorrow, a few minutes before midnight Central European summertime. Yeah, so we hope to see more images soon. Either some that come in right now, or we will share them with you tomorrow morning as soon as we get them.
Yeah, so the reason why we're not getting new images is because about 8 minutes ago we lost. Well, the pass from the inertia finished, and we are now establishing the link with Febreros. That it's so. New images should be coming down soon, but that's why we haven't had an update for the past few minutes.
Yeah, maybe we can recall that we are working with 3 stations for the Deep Space Network at ESA. So we have the Malargüe antenna in Argentina, we have the Cerberus station in Spain, and we have New Norcia in Australia. And what you see currently is simply that geometrically we need to switch from one antenna to the other in order to have a better viewing condition and better data transmission. So this is fully normal.
Cool, thank you very much. I've just been informed that that's basically us done. We're out of time. As I say, the activity will continue here at ESOC, at ESA's European Space Operations Center in Germany throughout the night, I'm sure, as more images are received and we process them, and we hope to share those with you tomorrow. Thank you very much to our panel, to Ignacio, to Nico, and to Mark for answering all of those questions. Your chance to ask questions is not over. Please continue to leave them on our social media channels, in the YouTube chat. Use the hashtag #AskESA, and we'll be able to find them easier. And we will also be hard at work trying to get answers to those questions to you as soon as possible after the live stream today. So yeah, thank you very much to our panel. And thank you very much to everyone who joined us for this experiment. I think that is the image currently on screen shows that it was worth it. That's a really cool image of the moon taken by a spacecraft on its way to Jupiter with a camera that was not designed to do this kind of stuff. So thank you very much for joining us.